Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to stately Vaughn Manor. And today, it's my Q&A. Yes, it's my 6K Q&A. I actually made 6,000 subscribers, which seems insane, but really, it was just Roger. He cast a spell, and that's how I got all those subscribers. There's no other logical reason for it. But he does have magic powers. He told me himself. So that's why that happened. But I did promise to do a Q&A whether I reached 6,000 or not. And here it is. I asked for questions the other day and I got some questions. So let's answer some questions. Yay! Steve Donahue has some questions. Okay. 1, do any of the servants at Vaughn Manor ever express misgivings over what happened to all the previous servants at Vaughn Manor? You know, anytime my servants ask too many questions or get too inquisitive, they just vanish and are replaced by other servants. That's how it works over here at the Gothic Vaughn Manor. He has another question. Could you actually single out your favorite sci-fi movie? That's a tough question. Forbidden Planet comes close, but my favorite is probably Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1950s version. I love that movie. The newer version from the 70s is good too, but the 50s is my favorite version of that film. So yeah, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Number 3, can anything be done about criminality? I'm trying, man, but every assassin I send over to criminality's hidden lair goes missing. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm going to have to get a hardier, sneakier breed of assassin, I think, to take out Ollie. But for right now, it doesn't look good. Michelle Flora. Those deer may be naughty, but they were so cute. I had deer in the video. So I want to know, do you dress vintagey all the time, or is it just for videos? What do you mean? Doesn't everybody dress? I mean, do you want me to dress like criminality and just like grab a t-shirt from the bottom of the hamper and throw it on? And this is, no, I dress properly. Always. Let's see. Is the manor actually an old building and do you decorate it as such? If so, what era? It's not that old. It's almost 100 years old. It was built in 1926. And yeah, it's the decor is about 100 years out of date. So yeah, pretty much. Do you watch campy horror films as well as campy sci-fi? I do. And which are your favorites? That's a tough one. Reanimator counts, I think, as campy horror. Reanimator was a good one. Dead Alive was a good campy horror movie. There are a few. Most of the horror movies I like are old 20th century horror movies. I love all the Universal movies, all the Universal horror movies. I like the Hammer films as well, and a lot of those are pretty campy. Yeah, those. Which is your favorite Robert E. Howard story? That would be The Hour of the Dragon, Robert E. Howard's only full-length Conan novel, and it's fantastic. What is your holy grail book, pulp, comic, paper, something or other to add to your collection? Probably would be the Arkham House Robert E. Howard book, the first Robert E. Howard book Arkham House put out, which was Skullface and Others. I have a reprint of that somewhere from a British reprint, but it would be nice to have that original volume, but they're very expensive and hard to get in good condition. And I haven't been able to justify the expense to myself. I will probably someday, but as of yet, I have not. Okay, Harfoot. My question, when did you get into reading all the time? I was pretty young. I would have to ask my mom how old I was when I started reading. I'm thinking 4. Mom, put it in the comments down below how old I was when I started reading, because I can't remember. I was young, but I'm thinking 4. And once I started reading, I just never stopped. Read by Fred. Hey, I love Read by Fred. 1. Will the Rustic Vaughn Lodge have a permanent library, or will you keep your library strictly at the Manor? Most of my books are going to stay at the Manor. Here's the thing about the Rustic Vaughn Lodge. It's in fire country. In California, every year, California bursts into flames because climate change is terrible. And it's only a matter of time, I feel, before the Rustic Vaughn Lodge goes up in smoke. I'm really, because like last year, the flames were less than a mile away. I mean, we couldn't even go there for like a month, you know. So I'm feeling I shouldn't put anything too valuable at the Rustic Vaughn Lodge, if you know what I'm saying. That includes my books. I do have a nice bookshelf there full of books, and I did a video about that. 2, I am always amazed by your breadth of knowledge in and your collection of different genres of books. Are you in the book industry? Is it simply a lifelong hobby, or both? I am not in the book industry, and it is a lifelong hobby. Yes, that is true. Jeremy Fee, I've got questions. Other than the deer, what all animals are there at the ranch? Also, will you be jumping on the bandwagon with the rest of the state of California and moving to Texas? I'm never moving to Texas. Nope, don't think that's going to happen. As far as animals, we have buzzards, we have turkeys, we have rabbits, a lot of rabbits, we have squirrels, we have wild pigs, the one with tusks that want to kill you. We have cows. We have rattlesnakes, which used to unnerve me, but now it's like, rattlesnakes, they're fine. Okay, reading This Life. Congrats and well done. What is the one single book that you have recommended over and over again to people? Also, any upcoming fashion updates for Roger? He has a bigger audience. Thank you, Reading This Life. Roger only dresses up for thumbnails. Otherwise, he just dresses in these rags that are like falling off his gross body. It's weird, but what do you do? You know, that's just Roger for you. And as far as the book that I recommend over and over, that would be The Histories by Herodotus, the greatest book ever written. Okay. Medium John Silver, question 1. Do you have plans to fill a room at Stately Vaughn Manor with bookshelves, floor to ceiling for your home library? That would be nice, but it's hard in this house because there are so many windows everywhere, and when there's not a window, there's a door. And the walls that don't have doors have light fixtures which are kind of low on the wall. They're the ones that are shaped like candlesticks, you know, because this is an old-timey house. You could see one like right there barely. But this house is full of those. So there's not many places you could put a floor-to-ceiling bookcase. There is one in the hall that is full of comics. Question 2, how many Library of America volumes do you have? Or how many shelves do they take up? They're in boxes right now. I don't know how many I have or how many or how big the bookshelf is that I'm going to need, because I haven't figured that out. I have to unpack them. They're still packed from when I did construction, the Library of America. And they're a little bit spread out, so I don't really remember how much I have. I'll figure that out. I'll do a video on it. Okay. C.O. Samis, congrats on coming up to 6K. Not too long now. I've asked Ollie this question on his first Q&A, but would love to hear if you have any stories for this one. Is there a book which you read when you were younger and you had to try and track down the book from your memory? Oh, I know which book Ollie's book was. Let me think. I don't think so. I have a real sharp memory for books. So every book that I read when I was younger, I remember them, and I've held on to a lot of the ones that I loved. When I was younger, I didn't read anything terribly obscure. They were all classics and that kind of thing. Let's see. So I just can't think of one. That was a boring answer. Duff Flips. Here are a few. 1. Do you have a book that you once owned but lost in whatever way, which you now regret losing? I did have a couple books like that disappeared, and I was like, but it turned out Justin had them. Justin at This Just In, he had those books. So I thought they were lost, but Justin had them, and now I have them back. Thanks, Justin. 2. Have you ever thought of writing a novel yourself? If yes, what would you write? I would write a cheesy horror novel, but I won't write one because every time I've tried to write anything, it's been terrible because I'm a terrible, terrible writer. I'm the worst, man. I'm the worst. 3. Which book have you read that had the most return on investment for you personally, professionally? I'm not sure that I've ever had a book that had a professional return on investment. Personally, too many books to mention, probably. The books I like, I really, really like. Dracula springs to mind just for entertainment value. Herodotus for everything. But there are so many books like that. Number 4, what is the future of books in general? Will paper still be a thing, or are we looking at an all-digital future? I wouldn't be surprised if one day in the far future, books went all digital. That wouldn't surprise me. I don't see it happening anytime soon. Physical books are just too popular. And everybody was crying the doom of books a few years ago when ebooks started coming out and the Kindle started coming out. But no, I think the future of books for a long time to come is going to be mostly paper books, actually. 5, what is your view on book bans? Are there books that should not be read? Books that should not be read. There are some self-help books that probably shouldn't be read, but no, I don't believe in banning books. Banning books is terrible. Banning books is a rotten, awful thing. No, you shouldn't ban books. No, not for that. Trish Bavell, how many rooms does Vaughn Manor have, and why doesn't Rhonda have her own wing? Rhonda does have her own wing. I don't know how many rooms the mansion has, or the manor has. I have no idea. There's so many rooms. I haven't even gone into all the rooms. People vanish into these rooms and are never heard from again. Who knows? And that's not even counting the dungeons underneath the manor. I have no idea. Too many rooms to count, really. Does Roger ever get to go to the ranch? Roger has not gone to the ranch yet. There's not a lot of people around there, and he likes to have people around to strangle. Hugh Minor, question, do you collect any Doc Savage adventure books? Yes, I do collect Doc Savage books, and I think I did a video where I showed those books. Yeah, one of my Halls of Adventure books, or one of my no, it wasn't. It was not a Hall of Adventure. It was Books That Time Forgot that came before the Halls of Adventure. So the books that time forgot, and there's one where the thumbnail is the shadow. There's the shadow back there. That is the one that I show some of my Doc Savage books. And I actually did a whole video on Doc Savage. Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats congratulates me. Thank you, Cozy Reader. Lee Kemper, please tell us about your great love of Homer, Herodotus, and the rest of the boys in the band. I have always been interested in ancient history. My interest and love of ancient history probably stems from reading Conan and things like that when I was younger, because it made me wonder, what was it really like in the ancient world? And so I started reading about ancient history, which led me to Herodotus, and it was all over after that. I did read Homer when I was very young because either my mother or my stepfather had a copy of the Penguin Homer, the Iliad, and I read that over and over again when I was a little kid because that book was great. It was full of violence, which I found fascinating. A lot of killing in different ways, and it was good. It was good, Homer. I liked that when I was a kid. But yeah, really, it was just a general interest that's sprung up, and then reading Herodotus. Lady Jane. Hi, Lady Jane. My question is, how many books do you actually think you own? Possibly even honestly. I have honestly no idea how many books I own. A lot. Excuse the beeping. That happens every time somebody opens the door. Alarm system. I know. I know. Jonathan Gomez. I'm Argentinian and would love to know if you ever approached our national literature. Not enough. Not enough. A little bit. But I need to read more. That's true. Pax Panic. My favorite question to ask. What is a book you think the whole world should read? I'm not sure the whole world should read anything I say they should read, but probably Thucydides. Probably the history of the Peloponnesian War by Thucydides. If you're going to have to read a book, that one's probably a pretty good book to read. About the human condition, basically, and how terrible we are. And how we really haven't changed in 2,000 years. It's an interesting book. DDB. Have you lived anywhere else in the USA besides California? No. In the United States, I've always lived in the Bay Area at some place or other. Always been in the Bay Area. Have you, okay, feel free. Question 2. I know nonfiction is not really a genre you cover too much, but would you consider a favorite World War II nonfiction and even fiction list? I could. Steve Donahue already has a really good video. I think he has a World War II starter kit that he did a while back. I don't think I could top that one. I think that's the best. I'm not sure I could top that. It's a genre I'm rather hopelessly addicted to. Then I hope you watch Steve's video because that video was awesome. David Sigler. Let's see. You get to spend a weekend with either Howard, Burroughs, or Lovecraft. Who do you pick? What got you into reading Robert E. Howard? If I had to spend a weekend with Howard, Burroughs, or Lovecraft, I think Burroughs would be the most fun, to be honest. I'd love to know the other two, though. But I think Edgar Rice Burroughs would be the most fun. We would go out and have a good... We'd ride horses and stuff. Yeah, if I hung out with Burroughs. What got me into reading Robert E. Howard? The Conan comic book. Probably got me into reading Robert E. Howard. And learning that there was a guy who created that character that he wasn't originally from comics. And then the first Robert E. Howard book I read was a book called Almuric, an interplanetary science fiction adventure story. And after that, I was hooked. Conan and Kull get into a fight. Who wins? Conan would. Let's see. An erudite adventure. Hey! I'll keep my questions simple. What is your favorite genre? Science fiction. What is your favorite Sherlock Holmes story? The Hound of the Baskervilles. What is your favorite color? Gray. What is your favorite animal? Dogs. All right, that's it. The Life and Times of James. Hey, James. Never ever seen a Western for sale or resale in my country. Okay, James doesn't have any questions, but he's really annoyed that there are no Westerns available in his country. I'm sorry, man. That sucks. Brandon's Bookshelf. Wow, 6K, man. Love your place. So jealous. Sorry. Of course you're jealous. Of course. Hey, Brandon. Maybe more of your watchers already know this, but I'd love to hear more about your background in general. My background? As an international man of adventure, my background's pretty boring. Let's see. I've done a lot of things, though. When I used to run a couple of furniture stores, children's furniture stores. I ran a couple of those. What else have I done? You know those guys that haul water around and put them on coolers and they drive those big water trucks? I did that for a while. I worked as a truck driver for an organic produce company in San Francisco. I did that for about a year. That was fun, but also kind of a pain in the ass. What else did I did? For years and years, I worked with autistic adults. And that was probably the best job I had. I think I enjoyed that job the most. It was the most rewarding, and I miss it. But I didn't make any money at all doing that job, so I had to move on. I guess that's my background. Janice K. Let's see. No questions that I saw there. Hey, Michael, I'm slightly curious. What would you say is your least favorite Lovecraft story? Oh, that was The Street. That was The Street. That was the worst Lovecraft story. It's Too Late to Apologize has some questions. Hi, It's Too Late to Apologize. It's Too Late to Apologize has the greatest channel ever. Number one, how many books approximately do you read a year? I don't know. I have no idea. I should probably count the books I read last year, and then I would have an approximate idea, but I don't really know. You know, I could probably figure it out because it's around 5 or 6 books a month, unless it's a giant book like last month, and then it's like 2 or 3. So I don't know. I'll figure it out. I suck at questions like that. 2, do you use Goodreads to track your reading? No. If I did, then I'd know how many books I read last year and what my average was, probably. 3, what book do you wish you could read again for the first time? A Princess of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Number 4, what is a book you had to read in school that you loved, one that you hated? Did I read any books that were assigned to me that I loved? Oh yeah, I did. Edith Hamilton's Mythology. I loved that book, and I did have to read that in high school. Books that I hated. I didn't read Moby Dick in high school, but I thought I was going to hate it. I love that book. There are others, like I refused to read The Scarlet Letter. I love that book too. So there is that. Free Indeed has a question. What state do you live in? California. I know that some are being overrun by deer in Texas. Yeah, deer have a tendency to overrun things. I don't mind though, I like the deer. Toracube, I want to know the story behind Roger. Who was he? You sure live in a beautiful part of the world. Thank you, Toracube. The story behind Roger. Roger was a high official among the Hyksos in ancient Egypt. He is a great sorcerer, and that might be the reason that his dead body was procured by Joseph Curran the Necromancer back in the day. Joseph Curran reanimated Roger Hotep, asked him a bunch of questions, and then just left him in a pit below his bungalow. He did this. Joseph Curran the Necromancer would reanimate the dead and ask them questions, and then he would just toss them into like pits underneath his house. Or sometimes they would reanimate all freaky and wrong, and they were like horrific monsters, and he'd toss those down into the pits too, and he'd just leave them down there for like years and years and years and decades. And I heard about this, and I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to free all of those creatures that live underneath Joseph Curran's house. Now, he was killed in the meantime, but he left. But these creatures had been down there this whole time. So I went over there to his bungalow, and I set all of these monsters free. True, there was a lot of death and killing and murder and massacres that happened because of that, so probably not my smartest move. But I got along with Roger really well, and so, you know, he lives here at the Manor with me now. That's the story there. James Holder, congrats. Where did you find Roger? Well, I just told you, Joseph Curran's bungalow, underneath Joseph Curran's bungalow. David Wiley, hey David. 1, favorite comic book villain. Dr. Doom is the best comic book villain. 2, how is the Read Every Frank Herbert going? Very slowly. very slowly. I still haven't even read Children of Dune yet. Man, I've got to read more Frank Herbert books. All the books I said I was going to read, I'm going to read. I'm just doing it very slowly. 3, favorite X-Men storyline. You know, since you're reading all of those X-Men comics and all that. Yeah, I haven't gotten far in that either, but I am reading every issue of the X-Men. I'm going to do it all eventually. You know, I've got a vacation coming up next week. I think it's going to be a good time to read the X-Men. Of course, the Dark Phoenix saga is the best X-Men that I've read, but maybe reading it over, I'll have a different idea. We'll see. Plagued by Visions. Hey, Juan. I love Plagued by Visions. My question is this. What's been your favorite video to make? That would be my brilliant, incredible Feral review. My review of Feral by Bertrand Ruchet. Feral by Bertrand Ruchet. It's not how you pronounce his name, but that's how I say it because it sounds cool. And Feral is a book about killer kitty cats, and it was terrible. And I did a review of it, and it was so fun. And it's down there somewhere in my videos. You could watch my Feral review. You should. It's the best thing I ever did. It's the best thing I'll ever do. They'll play it at my funeral. Let's see. Johan Milsom. Let's see. I read Cujo when it first came out. It made me so sad. Yeah, it is a sad book. Let's see. Asking you questions. Wow, be careful what you ask for, Mr. Vaughn. Okay, but I haven't gotten any questions. I think, at least not yet. Maybe she has questions further down. Angelica 351. How old is Rhonda? What breed is she? Rhonda, it's a little tough because we found Rhonda running around on the street. She's probably around 9 or 10 years old, and she's some sort of cross between a dog and a monkey. I'm not sure what kind, though. Suzanne S. Inquiring minds want to know, what the heck do you do in your day job? At first, I thought you were a lawyer, but now I'm thinking you're probably a lineman for a phone company. Do tell, please. I am not a lineman, and I am not a lawyer. I'm actually a paranormal investigator. Yes, if you have troubles with demons or ghosts or werewolves or vampires, you call me. It's true business is a little slow because none of those things actually exist. But you never know. Reality can shift. All those things can suddenly start existing, and then here I am. Any day now, the dough is going to come rolling on in. Let's see. Tony Grigo, what is your favorite Lovecraft film adaptation? Probably Reanimator, actually. Yeah, it's probably still, even though the Call of Cthulhu, the silent movie, was probably a closer adaptation of his work. What is your favorite book, film adaptation, Planet of the Apes? What is your favorite Rudyard Kipling story? That's a good question. I was not prepared for that. I'll have to come back to, I'll think of that. And then you know what I'm going to do for you? I'm going to do a Kipling video. And then I'll talk about what my favorite is after I've figured it out. What are your thoughts on Fritz Leiber's Fafford and Grey Mouser? Great series. What's your favorite Clive Barker book? I love the Books of Blood. I think that's probably his best. But he wrote some good stuff, man. So it's hard to say. What are your thoughts on A Clockwork Orange and American Psycho? I didn't like American Psycho all that much. I liked A Clockwork Orange a lot. And finally, are you related to Brian K. Vaughan? He wishes. No, I'm not. I do like his work a lot, though. James Fetcho. Hi, James. Okay. My question is, have you stopped reading David Gemmell and Brian Lumley? No, I haven't. I'm getting through them slowly. In fact, I have the third Necroscope book I'm dying to get to. I really am. I got to get to that book. And actually, yeah, David Gemmell as well. I'm going to read all that stuff. I'm just going through it slowly. William Fett, when did you start reading? I think I was 4, but my mom is going to let me know. What did you read as a kid? Many comics. But before that, I read Frog and Toad Are Friends, Frog and Toad Together, and a lot of books about Sesame Street. And eventually, I read Dracula, and after that, only adult books for me. Have you read many books by Dickens? I've read a few, but there are a lot more I need to read. Uh, do you feed the deer that hang out on your porch? No, but at a certain part of the year, we do leave out water because water is scarcer than what they eat. They basically steal from gardens and houses and stuff, you know. Elsie Hawk, have you read any books, authors that you know aren't particularly good but you like them anyway? Would you dare call them by name even though it may be embarrassing? I read a lot of Dean Koontz books when I was younger, but at the time he was, you know, pretty good. But then he had that deal with the demon where he gave away his mustache and his writing talent. I did a whole sad story about that. So I guess Dean Koontz doesn't really count because he actually was pretty good for a long time. There probably are. I just can't think of any. Basically, if I like them, they're good. Could you show us your other pets? I come here mostly for Rhonda. Okay, I will put up photographs. What am I at? 30 minutes. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna put up a photograph of Pumpsy. That's my other dog, Pumpsy, and my cats. My cats are Willie and Lena Luthor. There you go. Oh, and I've got tortoises. So there you go. I'll put those up. Frank Morlock. Hey, Frank. Have you ever thought of doing a read of Ruritanian romances, starting with Hope's Prisoner of Zenda, but including other Ruritanian kingdoms such as Grostark and Rudolstadt? So far, only one of his books I've actually read is Prisoner of Zenda, and I do have to fix that. I'm going to read more of his books. What about pirate novels like Captain Blood? I love Captain Blood. That's a great book. Or more modern works, such as George MacDonald Fraser's Pirates. I haven't read that yet. I should. How about some plays, comedies, dramas, adventures? Not Shakespeare. Actually, I'm going to buy a couple of yours, a couple of books that you translated. Frank Morlock translates plays. And I've intended to buy a couple of those, and you've just reminded me, so I'm going to get a couple of those and read those. So that. Terry Sullins, my question is, where did you get Roger? I told that tragic tale, or that exciting tale. It's not tragic, because he's living his best life over here at the Manor. DS, hey DS, what's the real story behind Rustic Vaughn Lodge? Is it where you work, or is it perhaps a second home you're developing, or something else? Okay, the Rustic Vaughn Lodge, the lady of the Manor, her family owns a cabin. And this place, the Rustic Vaughn Lodge, it's fairly close to that. You drive by it on the way there. And there was a for sale sign out, and she went in and checked out the property, and she said, hey, this place looks great. And so bought it. And yeah, and so now basically it's just someplace we go to get away from the Bay Area. Yeah, so it's kind of like, it's a weekend vacation kind of place. That will eventually burn down. AJ Dunn, how tall are you? Oh, how tall am I? Come on, I'm 6'5", obviously. Actually, I'm more like 5'8", almost. When did you meet Justin? I met Justin in early 90s. Early 90s, I think. What's the best adventure you've ever been on? Probably a vacation I took with the lady of the Manor back in 2007. Just because we were in Europe for a whole month, and that was nice. And we went to Rome, and we went to, we went all over Italy. We went to Switzerland. We went to France. We went to Paris. It was a nice trip, and that was quite the adventure, and probably the best one I've been on. Nahil, one question. Do you think there are any similarities between Elric of Melniboné and The Witcher? They look very similar, and they both use magic. Other than that, I don't think there's a lot of similarities, to be honest. I think The Witcher really is his own character. He just looks... Well, he's like a much, much more muscular version of Elric. but the look is similar. And they're fantasy characters, and they do use magic. That's about it, though. Culture fan, do you like Ed Brubaker comics? Yes. What are the greatest comic writers of all time? That would be greatest comic writers of all time: Stan Lee, Len Wein. There are a lot. There are a lot of the. I'm not going to say Frank Miller, because I don't think he is. Yeah, there's a lot. I'm going to have to come up with a list. See, this is another video I'm going to do now. I'm going to do a top 10 list of the greatest comic book writers of all time. So that's coming. I'll make that video just for you. Because my mind is like a blank. Like, there are a couple comic book writers I know I should be mentioning right now, but I can't remember. I worked all day today. You know, fighting monsters. Have you read Robert McCammon's Swan Song? No, but it's sitting right over there, right across the library. And I am going to be reading that this year. Brotherhood of Nod. I'm a fairly new subscriber, so you may have already addressed this. But what are your thoughts on Clark Ashton Smith? Oh, I did answer that, because I love Clark Ashton Smith. McNulty's Book Corral. Can you name a book where the film version was as good as the book? Planet of the Apes. Joe Buckley, do you have any offspring that you know of that would claim you as a father? No. If you do have children, are they named after comic book characters? I don't have children. Those are those little people that live in people's houses, right? I don't have any of those. And if I did, I would name them after the Seven Dwarfs, probably. Only I hope I wouldn't have 7 of them. Does your wifey... Oh, man, I'm not calling her that. Enjoy science fiction and comic books, too? No. No, she doesn't. Vanessa Scott, hi. Are you thinking of writing your own book? I wish. I can't write for... I'm not a very good writer. I'm terrible. I love your channel. I love Eric Ambler. Have you read any? No, I haven't. Love from Staffordshire, England. No blue sky there. Sorry, there's not. Hi, Staffordshire. At least you have water. Water is a good thing to have. I hear it rains there. Doesn't really do that much over here. Robert Fryer, have you ever read any of the many 2000 AD character stories? I have, but not enough. There wasn't a ton of that around when I was serious into collecting comics. Zima Goka, what did you study and what is your work? I studied Elder Gods at Miskatonic University. What is your work? Okay, I was lying about that whole paranormal investigator thing. I'm actually an astronaut. You might not believe that, but I am. I've got a rocket ship in my backyard. True, it is homemade. And the first time we tried to fly it, it just fell over. But this time, I've got astronaut pilot Rhonda Jones at the controls. And I'm sure the next time we go up, everything's going to be fine. What could go wrong? So yeah, I'm an astronaut. At least I'm going to be as soon as that thing goes up. What other hobbies do you have besides hauling and reading books and talking to dead people? She means you. I don't have time to have any other hobbies except for booktube and books. I have like no time, man. I wish I did, but I don't have time for like other cool hobbies. I used to, I have kayaks, we used to go out in the kayaks. I have a canoe. I used to do fun things. Now I just read books and talk to my phone that's strapped to a coat rack with a rubber band. K.R. Campbell, how many dogs do you have? 2, and what breeds? Little. Book Blather, have you named those deer? I just call them the deer. Tiffany Van, would you put out food for the deer? I haven't had to, but I do put out, I already answered that. Yeah, I do put out water for the deer. Joel Swagman, what are your thoughts on the new Teen Titans? I like them. At least I did back in the 80s. The Bookish Report, Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock? Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock? I'll go to the next question. Your favorite horror trope? I don't really have a favorite horror trope. I can't think of one. Man, I'm sucking Bookish Report. The Bookish Report's asking me these cool questions, and I don't have answers. 3, do you plan on doing anything with your channel now that you're getting big time. So big time. Like, make money from it one way or another. Oh yeah. There's nothing I want more than to have a bunch of ads pop up in my videos. A bunch of obnoxious, loud, awful ads interrupting my videos. Possibly while I'm speaking mid-sentence, an ad can pop up. That would be great. I would love that. No, I'm not going to monetize my channel. Now, I don't judge people for monetizing their channel much. But me, myself, no. Believe it or not, it actually doesn't cost much to do this. In fact, it costs nothing. I know you're surprised because of the great production values. You see this and you think, man, the special effects, the editing, the music, it's got to cost this guy $1 million to make these videos. Actually, surprisingly, all I do is put up the phone and hit record. It doesn't cost me much. And also, you do have a certain amount of freedom if you don't monetize your channel, because, you know, who cares if nobody watches a video? You know, I can make a video about the Silver Surfer knowing that half the people who normally watch my videos will watch that, you know. But who cares? I'm not making any money on this. I can make any dopey video I want, and it doesn't matter how many people watch it. So, you know, I don't have to worry about that stuff because, you know, I'm not making any dough from this. Nah, not going to make any dough from this. Elf Boy asks, is the ranch in your garden? No, but there is a garden in my ranch. Dishelved with Adam White. What is Roger's origin story? Why is Roger so much more popular than me? I told his origin story. It was pretty good. Yeah. Tiffany Van. Oh, she was just informing me of how many subs I had at the time. Thanks, Tiffany. It's 6,000 something. It's almost 6,100 now. I don't know. His spell is really working hard. He actually, Roger just, you know, he just subs over and over again using different identities. Otherwise, no one would watch me. Actually, you know, yeah. It's all Roger. It's all Roger. Well, that was it. This has gone on very long. So for those of you who have stuck through this entire thing, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will catch you next time. Tomorrow, I'm actually doing a Hall of Adventure because I'm not going to have time to do one next week. So I'm just going to do one tomorrow. It'll be the Hall of Adventure Weekend Edition. Okay, guys, I appreciate your continued support. You guys are all awesome. Thank you. I will catch you next time.